Greetings to everyone, all the Sweetwyrdos and all that.
How y'all doing?
We've been getting some great feedback, and people have been saying, "Hey, you guys are so natural, and we can see different things about how you feel about each other in your videos and all of that." And so it got me thinking about this world of social media and people doing posts and all that. And there's such a push or a focus on curating and putting on a false face. People really actually take a lot of time to create some kind of a face. And Sweetwyrdos is about being authentic. It's about knowing yourself, owning yourself, and being unapologetic about who you are, And so, yeah, we want to talk about that a little bit. And, to talk about your journey into embracing who you are, were you always like this?
No, I wasn't. And it's been like a really hard road. It hasn't been easy.
You've been going down Old Town Road before Lil Nas X, huh? I had to drop that in there. Yeah.
So, for me, being like everybody else was always awkward. Actually, it never worked. I remember when I was in high school and Ralph Lauren was the thing, polo was the thing, and everybody was wearing polo, and I got teased for not wearing polo, right?
Shout out to all the low heads out there. Y'all still doing it, still teasing people probably too.
And I remember my parents for one Christmas, they went into debt buying me these like Timberlands with Gore-Tex and polo t-shirts and stuff like this. But anyway, so when I went back to school, this is just one example. So when I went back to school after break, I was sized. I was like,
bling, bling, blow.
Right.
Look at me now.
But the one thing about trying to fit in is that people will belittle you because you weren't like that in the beginning.
Right.
And when I tried to fit in, it was like I stuck out like a sore thumb. And you have to keep up with it.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents only bought me 4 polo shirts. And other people were coming to school. I don't know if they had older brothers and sisters, if they were switching low shirts and Timberlands and whatever. I don't know. But it seemed like their stuff was always fresh. And I don't know the conditions of their living either. I have no idea, but
could have been living out the car.
They could have, but
with
it was
a
fresh.
Packed ass trunk of fresh gear.
And that's no shade. People live like that every day.
True.
And
True.
But I always recognize now, and some time ago that you got to pay to play, like in any way. Like you have to pay if you want to be a part of anything. And if it's not authentic to who you naturally are, there's some sacrifices. You're paying with sacrificing yourself, sacrificing your dignity, your humanity. It hurt me when I didn't have any more fresh polo shirts. I had to go back to wearing my regular clothes. And like trying to switch it in, switch it out. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm like 15 at the time. So my point in saying that is there was a cost. To trying to be like everyone else. There was a financial cost my parents because they wanted to see me happy, and that's not what made me happy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they didn't know how to make me happy because they weren't happy themselves.
Yeah, and did you even know, as a young person, how? So, yeah, we're talking about being authentic and all that, and, the effects of parents and being how you're raised in the environment. Like for me, I was raised in a religious family. My dad was a pastor, a bishop, very spiritual man, and I was raised in D.C. And so at a certain point, I was trying to do what the street was doing, and so started drinking at 12 and just all kind of stuff I wouldn't have been exposed to had I not been in the inner city, being a black youth. At that time, I'm 13 years old, 12, 13 years old. I can go in a liquor store and buy alcohol. Like, nobody wasn't carding or anything like that.
Nobody was, what?
Nah, not in the hood. Because people go in there and say, "Oh, I'm buying this for my mom," and it could have been. They could have been. There's a lot of alcoholics. Poverty breeds a lot of self-destruction, right? Yeah. So I knew people whose parents was alcoholics, and the kid would go to the store and buy liquor and stuff for their parents.
And now that you Talk about it. My mother would give me her money, and I would go in and get her cigarettes
Right.
for her. Back
Exactly.
In the day.
Yeah. Different time. Different time. I mean, and we're not ancient, so it wasn't that long ago. But a lot has changed since the dawn of the new millennium.
Yeah.
But being authentic. So I had to go through a whole period of like basically being an alcoholic in order before I could really find my true self. And there's no blame. I mean, it's just a part of the journey. You know, it's just part of the journey. And I think part of what we're doing with Sweetwyrdos is just encouraging people to fast forward. You know, you don't have to go through all the stuff that maybe A-Free and I went through to recognize who we are as artists and creatives. You know, embrace yourself now. You know, and don't be so caught up in what other people are saying. We're talking about being authentic and how do you actually find yourself. And as the reggae song says, it's not an easy road.
I don't know that song.
Not an easy road. Zipper, zipper, zipper. That's Buju Banton. That's Buju. Welcome home, Buju. Babylon couldn't bring you down.
This feels like...
Oh, you know, the other song. Do anything for clout. Do anything for clout. You know that one, don't you?
No, I don't.
You know, my wife, she's into...
Watch yourself now.
She's into the sensual soul sounds and the mystical sounds. People like Georgia Ann Boudreaux and...
Yes.
And what's the dude's name? Eric.
I love Eric Roberson.
Eric Roberson and...
I mean, but...
Yeah, but that...
Anderson .Paak isn't...
Anderson .Paak. But
isn't mystical, soulful sounds, but he's soulful.
He's soulful.
He's definitely soulful.
Yeah. The clout song is Cardi and her husband.
Okay.
Offset.
Okay.
But that's what we're talking about. I mean, people are like, instead of being authentic, they're trying to get clout. They're trying to get likes. They're trying to get... But that stuff is empty. Like, if you're not being yourself, what's the value of any of that?
Well, something that had come up for me, most people are, depending on where they come from, how they were raised, a lot of people are trauma-informed. Whether or not the trauma started when they were really young.
You mean traumatized?
Traumatized, but they move through the world through the lens of trauma.
Right.
So they're informed. That's what informs their life.
Oh, I see.
You understand what I'm saying? That's what informs their movement. They're not moving from their most authentic expression because that's been shrouded by trauma. They don't know who they are.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, it was that guy, real famous, one of the Oprah's authors, talking about living your pain body. It was Eckhart Tolle or something like that.
Tolle, yeah.
Yeah. So the stuff is out here. Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, you know, healing is what provides, it brings a person, it resets depending on the healing modality.
Yeah.
There's some healing that is quick, and there's some that takes some time. Some people go to counseling. They might be in therapy for a year or more. Me personally, I don't think anybody should ever be in therapy for more than a year.
Okay.
Because if I'm sitting on your couch for 10 years paying you $100 an hour and I still haven't had a breakthrough, something's not working.
Well, it's working for me. I mean, did you see my car? Thanks. I really appreciate that. Keep coming back.
Right. So, but I think that if a person is doing their therapy, their counseling, they're doing that, they're doing... they might be doing acupuncture, acupressure. They might be getting Reiki. They might be going to church or the temple or the mosque. They're taking care of themselves. They're changing their diet. They're addressing, not just talking about their past, but they're addressing how their past has influenced them in patterns that may not any longer serve them.
Well, you know, once you're aware, you have to take action.
Right.
So once you're aware that, hey, you know, some of the things that I have learned as a youth or some of the things, the habits I picked up going into adulthood don't work for me. Okay, that's awareness. And then the next step is action. Okay, what do I do? And like you're saying, whether that's therapy, whether that's this, that, or the other, do something and then move through, and you should be able to see the growth in your own self. And then if you have loved ones around you, they should be able to point out.
Well, what happens after a while is after a person has done the work and they've been guided to do the work, they start to see themselves.
Mm.
You start to say, oh, snap, I was wearing this or doing that or eating this food or attaching myself to these people, places, or things based off of a need of my personality, of my pain body, but not that was authentic to me.
Right.
Does
Right.
that make sense?
Oh yeah, it makes perfect
And so
sense.
then the person starts to discover who they are in their essence, and then that old personality dies.
I've gotta be me. Who else could I be? Unapologetically me. Excuse me. Sammy Davis documentary, definitely go watch that. It's
It was
awesome.
dope.
Yeah.
It was dope.
Yeah.
So anyway, and not that that's everybody's path. I'm not saying
To
that
be Sammy
everybody-
Davis, because Big Sean is doing a great job at it. Who else is being Sammy Davis now? There's a few Sammy Davises out here in the world. But go ahead. Yeah, it's not all our path to.
It's not our path to do that. You know, what I will say is that I will speak for myself, and that was my path.
Mm.
And I did therapy. I did holistic treatments. You know, wellness, and I also got very close to God or my higher power.
Right.
And through practicing West African Orisha, and through surrendering to those, actually surrendering to those things that no longer serve me, and thanking them for playing a pivotal role in my life, and blessing them and letting those aspects of myself know, I'm good now. You can step back, or even and actually you can go back.
Right.
Right.
Your job is done.
Your job is done.
Right.
And so healing provides us with a space to reset and to be in harmony.
Yes.
When a person is at harmony with themselves, or maybe not 1,000%, but maybe 60%, which is more than I know 20 years ago I was. I mean, I would say now maybe like it's 70-75%. And 20 years ago I was not in harmony with myself at all. I would say that then you can move from your most. I now move from my most authentic expression. So if I'm not feeling it, I'm not doing it.
Right.
If I'm not feeling how somebody is interfacing with me or how they've interacted with me, if they mean enough to me, we can have a conversation about it.
Right.
If I've been guided not to talk to them about that, or even to pivot and go in a different direction in my life, then I do that.
Right.
If I'm guided to not eat certain foods or to watch certain shows, then I don't do that. You know, I have to be who I am.
Right.
And I find that in this culture that there are a lot of people who it rubs them the wrong way.
Yeah. Or there's so much peer pressure. Like, yeah, here's a good example. Game of Thrones. Everybody was talking about this show. We watched it. I've never watched it. I don't have any interest in watching it. Not that it's anything bad per se. I don't even know. But I didn't feel a calling or a pull, and I'm definitely not responding to the masses. Like that's, to me, is manipulation. So I'm usually going to go in the opposite direction of what they're telling everyone to do, because that just doesn't make sense. We all have very unique purpose for being here. We all have very specialized skills, tools, interests, contributions to make.
We're all custom made.
We're custom made, and so flocking to one particular thing may not be the best move. And when we step back later on, we say, "Oh, this thing is affecting the way I deal with people. Here I am." And so it's just interesting to say. And I think also, even with our company, with Sweetwyrdos, and with the decor, the space that you create in your home, the environment you live in, how it looks, right? And what you put in your office, the things, what kind of energy does it invoke? What kind of vibrations are we cultivating, and how is that contributing to our healing, or pulling us away from our healing and putting us into a place of confusion or a sense of lack, or whatever that is. And that's what I love about your artwork so much, Ananda, is that you really, the healing that you're talking about and the experience that you had, and your relationship to spirit, it all comes through the art, and it comes through in a way that people who are aware can tune into it, and it resonates, and it provides fuel, to really be our true selves, to embrace our sweet weirdness, and that's what art is for. It's really about a reflection, in a way, an opportunity for us to go deeper than even we can do with these words and stuff. The images are very valuable.
I appreciate that, and thank you for that, boo.
You're welcome, baby. Love you.
I love you. So vulnerable moment, authentic moment.
Hold on, the previous moments were not authentic.
They were, but I'm saying being vulnerable about something about myself.
Oh, okay. Because my makeup is looking good. Let me see. Okay, go ahead.
He does not have makeup on.
You couldn't tell, right? It's so fabulous. Hey.
So
These are my eyelashes too.
Stop it. So, years ago, like when I was in my mid to late 20s, even into my 30s, I used to do like spiritual counseling with people, Reiki and things like this. And I remember people used to be like, "Oh, I would be like the next, Mama Ayanla Van Sant or something like that." And for a long time, I really was like, I like the thought of it, because I like the thought of being on a platform and people paying attention to me and having that kind of attention. And like 3 years ago, my ancestors really pivoted me, and I use that word a lot because they turned my ass all the way around, and they were like, "That's not your role, that's not your calling." And they took me back to this dream that I had over 10 years ago, where they showed me that I was actually an artist. And for whatever reason at that time, and I'm gonna say for real, I can say that I think the reason why it didn't resonate with me at the time, I love doing art. I was an artist then. And I think the reason why it didn't resonate with me is because I felt like I had to have had schooling and had this type of education,
right,
and be propped up in a way to be presented to the world. And that's not the case. And so the more I got into, or when I reconnected with the art, even though I've been doing it the whole time, I had to come out as an artist. He's opening some crackers.
Your gifts will make room for you and bring you to greatness. That's the Zakai-free translation of some scripture from the Bible. I'm sure my Bible scholars out there will put in the comment what scripture that is. But that's the truth. I mean, people say, "Oh, I don't have the pedigree. I didn't go to school. I didn't do that." No, but if you're gifted and you apply your gift, then the space will be available, and this is what you're experiencing now.
Well, that's what I experienced even with you. Like, you went to school, you studied African American studies, you also did trauma relief, stress reduction, and the job that you so wonderfully do to take care of us in such a beautiful way, it's not in your background.
Right.
And so your gift is connecting with people.
Right.
And so you're always yourself no matter where you go. Like, he can go anywhere and speak to anybody. Literally, he does. He talks to anybody. He'll start a conversation. Sometimes people think he's strange for it, and he'd be like, "That's cool, but I was just asking you a question. I wasn't trying," especially with the ladies out here. I mean, he's like, because most of the time, he's just like curious. He's like, "Hey, how you doing? Where'd you get that from? I like your style," or whatever. And they're like, oh, sir. And he was like, I was like, "You need to stop talking," because he has such a wonderful voice. I have to tell him, stop talking to women like you about to do something inappropriate, like you about to pull your Johnson out. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that. No. You're perfectly safe. If you see me in the street, no worries, okay? I am curious. One of my previous bosses labeled me an intelligent generalist. So I try to get information on all kind of stuff. Even my wife is like, why are you looking at that? I'm like, I'm just trying to find out what's going on. It's a part of my sweet weirdness. I'm very curious. I like to know like a lot of stuff.
Well, how come when you are so curious and you want to know a lot of things, but I ask a lot of questions, those things are complimentary?
Of course, and that's why we're together, isn't it? Oh, again, another secret.
No,
you keep a track. almost every video now, there's another secret as to why we're
No,
together.
but you'll say that I ask a lot of questions like an investigative
You
journalist.
do. Oh man, if she wasn't an incredible artist, private investigations.
Stop
I'm telling
it.
you right now, she would have you confessing to things you didn't even know. I mean, you'd be like, huh, what? Did I say that? She'll ask the same question 8 different ways until whatever has to come out comes out, and it's great. It's great. It's helped me tremendously in that relationship. But I mean, we might be getting off track of this topic right here. But
So,
yeah,
like, authenticity is part of. I think if there was a rule to being a sweet weirdo, other than not hurting people or, like not really hurting people,
not having negative intentions. Just
yeah,
have good intentions when you're moving through the world. You may not know the right actions.
Right.
You may not have all the answers, but at least have your intention positive.
Yeah.
And then the other things they'll develop. I mean, I wasn't trying to hurt people when I was out there drinking or I was acting crazy and stuff. My intention was to be loving, to be a part of something. I didn't know what that was, so I was kind of searching. But I was never trying to hurt anybody. I didn't want to cause any pain, anything like that. And if at times when I did do things that may have disturbed folks, I did my best to apologize and make amends.
Yeah.
And then as my intentions got clearer, then I found more tools. And I just want to just give thanks and give a shout out to Hana and at the time Amin Ra, who were there in Tallahassee, my first kind of teachers in meditation and Tai Chi, and then later on, in as years went on, I learned Sudarshan Kriya with Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, and talk about a reset button, talk about a healing. Breathing is important, folks. My wife is inhaling right now. I should do some too. Oh man, it's better than drugs, man. Breathe deep. That's the real ecstasy, actually. So find your path to healing, and that will lead you to your authentic self.
And there are people waiting for you.
Your ancestors, for one.
Your ancestors, if you're looking to have children, those souls waiting to come.
Yeah.
But there are also teachers, authentic, reputable, beautiful teachers on the path that are waiting to introduce you to you.
That's right. That's right.
And I just give thanks for Ibaye Prem Ben. He was
Ashe.
my first spiritual teacher, and he helped me reset. And then my first godmother, Yanifa Ifadoyin.
Ashe.
And then I have a wonderful godfather now, and just amazing people on this path who, and even people to get me to the people.
Yeah.
Who are just incredible. They're incredible people out here. They may not be there the whole time. They might only be there for a minute, a snippet, 3 months, 1 day, a year. But there are people waiting to witness you meet yourself.
Yes. And so with that, I mean, I think the whole theme of this video has been reset. Reset, don't regret. Reset, don't regret. God is not through with you yet.
Ashe.
And be sweetly weird. Don't hide. There's no reason to follow what everybody is doing, because you're not everybody. You're somebody.
You're somebody
of value.
Yeah. One breath, one vibe, one tribe.
Peace.
Peace.